I'm sorry, Mrs. Collins, but the signs are clear. Your son is on the spectrum. Those words echoed in Amanda Collins's mind as she sat alone in the parking lot of the clinic, her hands trembling on the steering wheel, tears streaking her face. Her 5-year-old, Ethan, had just been diagnosed with autism. She had tried so hard not to cry in the doctor's office, nodding silently as terms like developmental delays and limited social engagement were tossed around like puzzle pieces she couldn't fit together. Ethan was different, yes, but he was also her baby, her world. Amanda had spent the past 2 years searching for answers. He didn't speak much, rarely made eye contact, and seemed to live in a world only he could understand. Her husband had left 6 months ago, unable to cope. I can't do this anymore, he'd said, packing a suitcase while Ethan sat on the floor lining up toy cars in a perfect row, unaware that his father was walking out. Now it was just her and Ethan. Amanda juggled 2 part-time jobs, often working late into the night just to cover therapy bills and rent. She loved her son fiercely, but she was exhausted mentally, emotionally, physically. When her boss threatened to cut her hours unless she found childcare for Ethan during the day, Amanda had no choice but to hire a nanny, even if it meant sacrificing groceries that week. That's when Maria came into their lives. She was quiet, older, with kind eyes and a thick Spanish accent. She didn't have formal training in special needs care, but she came with glowing recommendations and a calm, almost unshakable presence. Amanda hesitated. Was it even safe to leave her son with someone who wasn't qualified? But desperation has a way of silencing doubt. The first time Maria met Ethan, he didn't look at her. He just rocked back and forth on the couch, holding his favorite stuffed dog and humming softly. Amanda started to explain his diagnosis, his triggers, his meltdowns. But Maria gently held up a hand and said something Amanda would never forget. Your son isn't autistic, ma'am. He just needs love. Amanda blinked. Was this woman out of her mind? Did she think she knew better than the doctors, the specialists, the therapists? The anger bubbled in her chest. But Maria just smiled, kneeled on the floor beside Ethan, and whispered something in Spanish. Ethan paused for a moment, then handed her his stuffed dog. From that moment, something began to shift. The first week, Amanda came home to find Ethan sitting in Maria's lap as she read him a picture book. His head was resting on her shoulder. He wasn't humming. He was listening. In the second week, Maria brought out pots and wooden spoons from the kitchen. Amanda opened the door after work to the sound of laughter, Ethan's laughter, as he banged a joyful rhythm with Maria, drumming in unison. Within a month, Ethan was smiling more. Looking at people. Saying single words: ball, dog, mama. The therapists had told Amanda to manage her expectations. Some kids never speak, they'd warned. But Ethan was changing, opening, blooming like a flower warmed by sunlight. And Maria was the sun. One night, Amanda broke down. The dishes were still in the sink, Ethan was asleep, and Maria was folding laundry as if it were the easiest thing in the world. Amanda sat beside her, eyes filled with tears. Why? She asked. Why is he different with you? Maria smiled, never stopping her folding. Because I see him. Not the diagnosis. Not the labels. Just him. She looked Amanda in the eyes and said softly, children don't always need fixing. Sometimes, they just need to be felt. Loved. Seen. It wasn't some miracle cure. There were still tough days, screaming fits in the grocery store, nights when Ethan cried for hours, mornings he wouldn't eat. But Amanda began to change too. Instead of reacting with fear or frustration, she began to respond with patience and curiosity. She stopped seeing Ethan as broken and started seeing him as beautifully whole, just speaking a different language she hadn't learned yet. Maria taught her that language of presence, of calm, of love without conditions. The turning point came 6 months later. Ethan was playing in the backyard, stacking rocks into a tower. Amanda was watching from the porch when he suddenly looked up, locked eyes with her, and said, "Mommy, look." She dropped her coffee mug. It was the first full sentence he had ever spoken. Amanda ran to him, tears streaming down her cheeks. She didn't care about the broken mug or the shocked neighbors who may have heard her sobbing. All she cared about was the little boy in front of her who had finally reached out across the silence and touched her with words. "Look," he said again, grinning, pointing at his tower. "I see it, baby," Amanda whispered. "I see you." Word spread quickly. Amanda began journaling their journey online. One of her posts went viral. "The nanny said my son wasn't autistic, just needed love. I thought she was wrong. Then this happened." Thousands of parents reached out, not looking for miracle cures, but for hope, for a different way to see their children. Amanda and Maria started a small support group in their town, focused on mindful parenting, sensory awareness, and most of all, emotional connection. They called it the quiet light, because Maria once said, "Every child has a light. Some just shine quietly." Today, Ethan is 9. He still lines up his toy cars. He still sometimes hums when the world gets too loud. But he also sings. He tells jokes. He hugs his mom tight and says, "I love you, mommy." Amanda never forgets what Maria taught her. Not everything can be explained by textbooks or clinical terms. Sometimes, the most powerful therapy is love. Pure. Unconditional. Steady. And sometimes, the person who sees your child most clearly isn't the one with the degrees or the training. Sometimes, it's the nanny with the quiet strength and the unwavering heart. Because when someone truly sees your child, not for who they're supposed to be, but for who they already are, everything changes.